Now, being that this is a brand new podcast, you probably don't know anything about me. And the first thing I want to share with you is a story from when I was first engaged. In the church that I belong to, we have an excellent program for premarital counseling. This retreat is called Engaged Encounter. Now, on Engaged Encounter, you go for a weekend. And on that weekend, you get lessons from a young couple who is recently married, a couple who is middle-aged and has some experience, and you get advice from an older couple who's had an awful lot of experience in what it is to have a successful marriage. I want to share this with you because one of my biggest passions as a financial coach is helping couples figure out how to communicate in and around money. If you have ever listened to any material from Dave Ramsey, he often cites that money fights and money problems are the number one cause of divorce, of breakups, of separations in North America. And it breaks my heart that the core cause of separations, the core cause of good marriages falling apart is disagreements over money fights and money problems. If I can help you communicate about money with your spouse or your future spouse and do it in a way that is positive and full of hope and growth, then you can make a struggling marriage good, and you can make a good marriage great. And if I can help in even a little way on that journey, that is incredibly rewarding. And it's one thing that I am very, very passionate about as a huge proponent of marriage. When I was on Engaged Encounter with my wife, Amanda, now wife, we were engaged at the time, naturally. We went in with an expectation that there might be a bit of a money fight or a money argument. It was the one thing she was scared of. I wasn't too terribly concerned about us having a disagreement on money, but the program did a really good job of, okay, let's talk about what kind of debts you have. Let's talk about what kind of savings you have. Let's talk about, do you run a budget? If so, what kind of budget? How often? What do you prioritize in your budget? Have you talked about the things that you value? Have you talked about the things that you're putting your money toward? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If you are putting money intentionally toward something that matters a lot to you, then your heart is in it. And it's important to disclose this to your spouse or future spouse so that they can understand what matters to you. Our big disagreement, if you could even call it that, was over a television. I really wanted a nice TV before we were married. I really like a nice TV. I want good, calibrated color quality. I want infinite contrast with a beautiful OLED screen, and I want to see the game with a beautiful 120 hertz refresh rate. This is just something that I wanted, that I valued, because I wanted to be not only able to enjoy that kind of screen myself whenever it was time for movie night or game day, but I wanted to be someone who could host and facilitate social gatherings that are focused in and around watching the new big movie or watching the big game. We recently moved to Kansas City. That's where we are now. And my wife's family is very much so into the Chiefs. And so if the Chiefs have a big game or they make it to the Super Bowl, then I would like to be, top of the list for hosting that party, even though I'm a Broncos fan. I digress. My wife didn't really grow up with television, didn't really have a TV at the time we were dating, and didn't really care to own a TV after we were married. So here we had a difference in values. She asked me how much I wanted to spend on a TV. Well, at the time, a really nice OLED TV was going to cost somewhere upwards of $3,000 to $4,000. She thought that a nice TV would be something in and around $500. So then and there, before we were married, we made an agreement. We made a compromise that I would wait 5 years as we saved up for a television, and I would spend no more than $2,000 on a TV. That way, we could put money toward things that were a bigger priority. Intentionally prioritize things that mattered to both of us so that they wouldn't have to suffer over a TV which is, by all strict intents and purposes, a want, not a need, even if I valued it. She found this to be very agreeable. And just recently, we did buy a TV. We got a great discount because of the way the economy was in and around TVs, but she's very happy with it. And we enjoy movie night together. We host for the games now. And I think she gets actually more enjoyment out of it than I do. Engaged Encounter also focused on one other major set of vocabulary that I took away and held on to when it came to communicating about money. This is separating your values and your virtues. Now, something you value, in Engaged Encounter's definition, is something that you are willing to give up. Again, if you value something, you are willing to give it up in part or in whole in order to sacrifice for a greater good. You're willing to make a compromise on something you value. When it came to the TV, my want for a TV, it was something I valued. It was not something that my wife valued. A virtue, in contrast, is something that you are not willing to sacrifice, in part or in whole, when it comes to a compromise. This would be if you were engaged and you were talking with your future spouse about something and they said, "Oh, we can't do that. Whatever that is, that virtue that you have, we can't do that. I don't want to do that." Oh, that's a no. Well, that would become a deal breaker if it's a genuine virtue. Virtues should be far and few between. There are a lot more values in your life than there are virtues. When it comes to personal finance, it's very important to know not only your values and virtues in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day purchases, but the values and virtues in every facet of your life. And it's important to recognize what virtues exist that help lead individuals to immense and intense success. In personal finance, the most important virtue that I can think of, the very core foundation to all personal financial decisions, is frugality. And I'll save that for when we continue on our main topic. But for now, we're going to jump into the budgeting tip of the day.